My husband left me for a younger woman. Now she's destroying his life, and I'm loving every second of it. I used to believe that when a man leaves his wife for a younger woman, it means she must be better in some way, prettier, more exciting, more fun. That's what my husband David thought. He thought he was trading up when he threw away our 15-year marriage for some 25-year-old with an Instagram obsession and a fake tan. He thought he was winning. But now he knows he made the biggest mistake of his life because the younger woman he left me for, she's ruining him. And the best part? I'm sitting back and watching karma do its thing. For context, I'm 42F, and my now ex-husband, David, 45M, and I were married for 15 years. We built a life together, a home, careers, and a routine that I thought was solid. I supported him when he started his own business. I was there through every struggle, every late night, every moment of doubt. I helped him become the successful man he is today, and in return, he left me for a woman half my age. I didn't see it coming. David and I had our ups and downs like any couple, but I thought we were partners. Then, one day, he came home acting weird, distant. His phone was always on silent. He started dressing nicer, working out more, spending more time at the office. I ignored it at first, told myself I was overthinking, until one night I grabbed his phone to check the time, and there it was, a message from Emily. Can't wait to see you tonight. My whole body went cold. I clicked on the conversation, and my entire marriage fell apart. Because this wasn't new, this had been going on for months. Hundreds of messages, flirty texts, hotel bookings, inside jokes I wasn't part of. David wasn't just cheating. He was in love with her. When I confronted him, he didn't even try to deny it. He just sighed like he was annoyed that I had caught him. Look, I was going to tell you. I laughed. Oh, really? When? After the divorce papers showed up? He ran a hand through his hair. I didn't mean for this to happen. Right, you just tripped and fell into a months-long affair? He had the nerve to roll his eyes. It's not just an affair. Emily and I, we have something real. 15 years of marriage, and he was telling me that his fling with a 25-year-old was real. I could have screamed, I could have fought for him, begged, cried, but you know what I did instead? I let him go. Because if he thought she was better than me, then he deserved everything coming his way. The divorce was brutal. David thought I'd be reasonable, that I'd make things easy for him. After all, I had always been the understanding wife. But guess what? That version of me? She was gone. I took everything I was entitled to, half of our assets, a generous alimony, and the best part, since his business only existed because I supported him financially in the beginning, I got a piece of that too. David was pissed. You're being vindictive, he snapped during one of our negotiations. I smiled. No, I'm being fair. He wanted his fresh start with Emily, fine. But he wasn't going to walk away rich and carefree while I got left behind. After the divorce, I moved on. I focused on myself, got into the best shape of my life, took a trip to Greece, started dating again. And David? Well, David was about to find out exactly what he signed up for. At first, everything was perfect for him. Emily was young, beautiful, fun. She worshipped him, made him feel like he was 25 again. She posted their vacations, their fancy dinners, their perfect relationship all over social media. And I won't lie, at first, it stung. Seeing my ex-husband living it up with the woman he left me for, it felt like a slap in the face. But then, the cracks started to show, and karma started to work its magic. It started small. Emily's spending habits were intense. See, David had always been careful with money when we were together. We saved, planned for the future, made smart choices. But Emily, she wanted designer bags, luxury vacations, expensive nights out. And she didn't ask David, she just expected. After all, she had left her boring old life to be with a rich, successful man. David had promised her the world. Now, she wanted him to pay up. Then came the jealousy. Emily was insecure. She didn't like that David had an ex-wife, especially one who was doing just fine without him. She would stalk my social media, analyze every picture, every post, looking for a reason to be mad. She started picking fights with David over me. Why does she still have your last name? Why does she get to keep the house? That should be ours. Why are you still paying her alimony? That's our money now. Suddenly, David wasn't the perfect man anymore. He was a wallet, a burden, a problem. And Emily, she wasn't afraid to remind him. The best part? It didn't take long for David to regret everything. Lisa, my mutual friend, told me she saw him at a bar one night. Alone. Miserable. Drinking like a man who realized he had up his entire life. Apparently, Emily had stormed out after another fight about money, because now that he wasn't rich enough for her taste, she was getting bored. And me? I was thriving. David had left me for a younger woman, and now that younger woman was making his life a living hell. And I was just sitting back and watching. David really thought he had won. He left me, his boring wife, for a younger woman and expected to ride off into the sunset like some middle-aged Prince Charming. I'll admit, for the first couple of months, it stung. Seeing them plastered all over social media, flaunting their expensive vacations, fancy dinners, and true love made me sick to my stomach. But the thing about shiny new toys, the excitement wears off. It didn't take long for the cracks to show. At first, Emily was everything he thought he wanted: young, fun, beautiful, and always down for a good time. But what he didn't realize was that Emily wasn't interested in him. She was interested in the lifestyle she thought he could provide. And the moment he stopped playing along, she turned into his worst nightmare. The first major crack was money. David and I had always been smart with our finances. We planned, saved, and built a life that was stable and secure. Emily? She didn't care about financial responsibility. She wanted shopping sprees, weekend getaways, designer bags, and constant entertainment. At first, David indulged her, thinking, that's just what you do for a woman you love. But the moment he started putting his foot down, she flipped. One of our mutual friends, Lisa, happened to be at the same restaurant as them one night and saw the whole thing unfold. Apparently, Emily had spotted some overpriced designer handbag earlier that day, and David, for once, had said no. That didn't sit well with her. Lisa said Emily threw a full-blown tantrum at the table. She whined about how he was rich enough and that it's just money. And then she hit him where it hurt. She told him he was acting just like his ex-wife. Lisa said David actually flinched, and I know that hit him because he spent so much time convincing himself that leaving me was the right choice. But now, here he was, sitting in a restaurant, getting publicly berated by his upgrade, but money wasn't the only issue. The second problem? Jealousy. Emily was obsessed with the fact that I existed. She stalked my social media, analyzed every post, every picture, looking for something, anything to be mad about. She hated that I still had the house. She hated that I still had our mutual friends. And most of all, she hated that I was doing just fine without David. One day, Lisa texted me, "You are not going to believe this. Emily just posted a whole rant about you." I checked, and sure enough, Emily had gone on a passive-aggressive tirade about bitter ex-wives who don't know how to move on. Mind you, I had not spoken to or about David since the divorce. I hadn't done anything to her. Just the fact that I was existing happily was enough to drive her insane. But the best part? The real karma? It was just getting started. A few weeks after Emily's meltdown, I got another call from Lisa. She sounded giddy. "Girl, you need to sit down for this one." And then she dropped the bomb. Emily was pregnant. I actually had to sit down for that one. "No, freaking way. Oh yeah," Lisa said, practically vibrating with excitement. "And David, he looks like he's seen a ghost." Turns out Emily had accidentally gotten pregnant, and David was not happy about it. Lisa overheard him venting to a friend at a bar, saying, "This wasn't the plan. I wasn't ready for this. I thought she was on birth control." Oh, sweet summer child. Did he really think Emily, who was already using him for money, wouldn't find a way to lock him down permanently? Lisa told me he was spiraling. He started telling people that Emily had changed, that she was controlling, demanding, and nothing like me, that he felt drained, like he couldn't breathe around her. And deep down, he knew he had messed up. The best part? Emily knew exactly what she was doing. She could feel him slipping. She could tell he wasn't going to stick around forever. So she secured the bag the only way she knew how. A baby. Now, David was stuck. Lisa told me he looked absolutely defeated when she saw him. He looked like a guy who just realized he ruined his own life. And honestly, that was all I needed to hear. David had left me for a younger woman. And now, that younger woman was running his life, and I was just sitting back and watching. At this point, I wasn't even mad at David anymore. I was enjoying the show, because watching the man who threw away his marriage for a younger, hotter upgrade slowly realize he had made the biggest mistake of his life, it was like front row seats to the best drama of the year. And trust me, things were about to get so much worse for him. After Emily's surprise pregnancy, David was completely miserable. Lisa kept me updated since she still ran into him occasionally, and from what she told me, he had completely lost his spark. Gone was the confident, smug man who once flaunted his new, exciting life. Now, he looked exhausted, like a man who realized too late that he'd FCK'd up. Apparently, Emily had turned into a complete nightmare. She was hormonal, clingy, demanding, constantly picking fights with him about everything. Where he went, who he talked to, how much money he spent on himself, not her, because of course, her shopping habits hadn't slowed down. She monitored his social media, accused him of cheating every time he looked at another woman, and worst of all, she started weaponizing the pregnancy. You don't care about me or this baby. If you did, you'd buy me what I need. You're supposed to be taking care of me, not stressing me out. If you actually loved me, you wouldn't question me. She used the baby as a tool to manipulate him at every turn. And David, he was trapped. One night, Lisa saw him at a bar again, alone, drinking like a man with zero will to live. She walked up to him, and before she could even say anything, he just sighed and said, "I'm messed up." Lisa, who is honestly my favorite person, just smirked and went, "Oh, you don't say." That's when David really started venting. He admitted that Emily had completely changed once she got pregnant. She no longer acted like the fun, carefree girl he fell for. Now she was entitled, controlling, and mean. He even admitted that she would bring me up constantly, saying things like, "I bet your ex-wife wouldn't have been such a nag," or, "You probably wish I was more like her, huh?" Lisa told me David looked genuinely broken, like he finally realized that he didn't just lose a wife, he lost his best friend. I won't lie, hearing that made me smile. But the real karma, it hadn't even hit yet. A few months later, Emily had the baby. David thought maybe, just maybe, things would settle down. Spoiler alert, they did not. Emily went from being an annoying, spoiled girlfriend to being a completely unbearable mother. She was obsessed with social media, posting every second of their baby's life for likes and validation. She would stage fake candid moments, force David to take a million pictures, and then scream at him if they weren't Instagram worthy. But the best part? She would leave David alone with the baby constantly. Now, let me be clear. I believe fathers should be equally responsible for their children. But Emily? She didn't want to be a co parent. She wanted to be a full time influencer and part time mom. Lisa told me Emily would drop the baby off with David at work and then disappear for hours, brunching, shopping, and doing anything but parenting. David, who had once dreamed of a fun, sexy, carefree relationship, was now a single dad with a girlfriend who didn't give a damn. And that was chef's kiss, the best karma ever. But here's where it gets even better. One day, Lisa texted me, "You are going to lose it when you hear this." Apparently, Emily had been cheating on David. I actually cackled when I read that. Because after everything, after destroying our marriage for her, after thinking she was so much better than me, she was doing to him exactly what he did to me. Lisa told me that Emily had been seeing some 23-year-old trainer at her gym for months. She had been using David's money to buy lingerie and gifts for another man. And the best part, David had no clue until Lisa showed him the receipts. Yep, Lisa had a friend who worked at Emily's gym, and this friend had caught her making out with the trainer in the parking lot. So what did Lisa do? She told David. And when he found out, Lisa said he looked physically ill, like a man who had just woken up from the worst dream of his life, only to realize it was real. After that, things imploded. David confronted Emily. She denied it at first, but when he showed her actual proof, she blew up on him, not apologizing, not begging for forgiveness. No, she got angry. "Oh, so it's fine when you cheat, but when I do it, suddenly it's a problem? I gave up my youth for you. Maybe if you weren't so boring, I wouldn't have needed attention elsewhere?" Lisa told me David just stood there, silent, like he finally understood exactly what I went through, like he finally realized that he had built his own misery. Emily left him a week later for the gym trainer. She took the baby, the car he bought her, and whatever was left in their shared account. And David was completely alone, a single dad, broke, stuck picking up the pieces of his own disaster. Lisa sent me a final update on him a few weeks later. Apparently, he doesn't go out anymore. He barely talks to people. He looks miserable, like a man who had everything, threw it away, and finally realized that he had lost the only person who actually cared about him. And me? I had moved on. I was happy, thriving, dating someone who actually respects me. And David? He was living in the mess he created. And honestly, I couldn't have written a better ending myself. David had finally hit rock bottom. His dream life? Gone. His trophy girlfriend? Gone. His money? Gone. And the best part? The woman he left me for, she was out there living her best life with someone else, while David was stuck raising their kid alone, all because he thought he could do better than me. And now? He was realizing just how badly he fucked up after Emily left him for her gym trainer. David became a shell of his former self. Lisa kept me updated, and every time she ran into him, he looked worse and worse. He barely talked to people anymore. He looked exhausted, like a man who had aged 10 years overnight. And honestly, it was hilarious. Because this was the same man who thought he could trade me in for a younger model. And now, he was a washed up single dad with nothing to his name. Meanwhile, Emily was out there thriving. She had moved in with the gym trainer and was back to posting her perfect little life all over social media. Lisa told me that David still followed her, which was just so pathetic, because now he was on the other side of the breakup, being the one left behind, watching someone else live the life he thought he deserved. Except this time, there was no one to blame but himself. One night, I was out at a bar with friends when I saw him. David. Alone. Sitting at the bar, staring into his drink like he was debating whether to just drown in it. I wasn't going to go up to him. He wasn't my problem anymore. But then, he saw me. And the look on his face, it was like he had seen a ghost. Because I wasn't the heartbroken ex-wife he had expected me to be. I wasn't miserable, bitter, or alone. I was thriving. And he looked like he was on the verge of collapse. He hesitated for a second, then, like a man with nothing left to lose, he walked over. Hey? I raised an eyebrow. Can I help you? He sighed. Look, I know I'm probably the last person you want to talk to, but he rubbed his face like the words physically hurt to say. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I tilted my head. For what, exactly? He swallowed hard. For everything, for leaving you, for not appreciating you, for thinking I could, I don't know, replace you? I let that sit for a second. Then I laughed. You don't miss me, David. You miss what I did for you. His jaw clenched. That's not true. Oh, really? I cut him off. Tell me, do you miss me? Or do you miss having a wife who actually cared about you, took care of you, made your life easier? Because from what I've heard, Emily didn't do much of that. His face crumpled. Because he knew I was right. Emily was never in it for him. She was in it for what he could give her. And now that she had moved on, he was completely alone. I was stupid, he admitted. I thought I wanted excitement, but I didn't know what I had until it was gone. I gave him a small, amused smile. Yeah, I figured that out a while ago. He sighed. Do you ever think we could, you know, start over? I almost choked on my drink. You're joking, right? He shook his head. I'm serious. I've changed. I see things clearly now. I know I messed up, but I miss us. I stared at him for a long moment. Then, I laughed in his pathetic, regretful face. David, I moved on a long time ago. You should too. His whole body sagged, like he had genuinely convinced himself that I was just sitting around waiting for him to realize he made a mistake. He opened his mouth, but I cut him off. Good luck with everything. I mean that. But we were done the moment you thought I wasn't good enough. And with that, I turned back to my friends. And that was the last time I ever spoke to him. After that, David completely disappeared from my world. Lisa told me he stopped going out, stopped talking to people, and last I heard, he was still struggling, still single, still broke, still alone, because no one wanted to be with a washed-up guy who ruined his own life. As for me, I built a life that was so much better than the one I had with him. I traveled, I thrived, and best of all, I met someone who actually values me. Someone who doesn't see me as replaceable. And David, he gets to spend the rest of his life knowing that he threw away the best thing he ever had. And honestly, that's the best karma I could have asked for.